and gentlemen, it's playoff time for the number 2 seed, Buffalo Bills, and the 7th seed, Miami Dolphins. It's do or die time for these two divisional rivals, so let's take a look at an interesting matchup with plenty of questions heading into this wild card Sunday. Before I get to the preview though, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. Now, let's talk about the Buffalo Bills offense. Like many of the last few games, it was a lackluster first half for this unit, but in the second half, Josh Allen and company came together and were able to win the game quite comfortably in the end. This unit is, of course, led by quarterback Josh Allen, who had a tough first half, ending it with being sacked a couple times and having another red zone interception. But he was able to throw 2 long touchdown passes to John Brown and Stephon Diggs. He finished the day going 19 for 31 for 254 yards, having 3 touchdown passes to 1 interception. His favored targets went back to the status quo, with Stephon Diggs being on top, having 7 catches for 104 yards. The rest of the distribution was very spread out, with John Brown, Gabe Davis, Khalil Shakir, Dawson Knox, and Isaiah McKenzie each having more than 10 reception yards. On the ground, it was mainly the James Cook show, with him having 9 rushes for 45 yards. It was another strong game for Cook, who should see more snaps again next week. Devin Singletary had a bad fumble deep in Bills territory, which led to his effective benching. With all of this said, let's move on now to Nyheim Hines. Hines, who was acquired by the Bills at the trade deadline, hasn't really been involved in the Bills' offense up to this point, but he's found other ways to make his impact felt, such as his kickoff returns. On Sunday, he had 2 kickoff return touchdowns, which in the end proved to be a huge difference in the Bills' victory. Okay, having talked about Hines, let's move on to the Miami Dolphins offense. It's this unit that will be the most intriguing, and their success depends on the health of quarterback Tua Tagovailoa. It's unknown as of the time of this recording if Tua will play again this season after suffering his 3rd concussion of the year. Well, officially 2nd concussion, but same difference. With Tua, this offense is one of the most explosive and dynamic, as seen in the Week 15 match in Buffalo. Without Tua, Miami's chances of winning drastically decrease. If Tua doesn't play, expect journeyman backup Teddy Bridgewater to get the start. Bridgewater last played in Week 17, going 12 for 19 for 161 yards against the Pats defense. But his body is made of glass, and once again, he left that game with an injury. And if it's not Bridgewater, it'll be rookie Skylar Thompson, who has struggled mightily this season. Last Sunday against the Jets, Thompson went 20 for 31 for 152 passing yards. If it's Bridgewater or Thompson, then expect Miami to run the ball a lot with Jeff Wilson. He had 16 rushes for 72 yards, and not that far behind him was Raheem Mostert. But Mostert left the game with a broken thumb and is doubtful to play again this season. Of course, the 2 biggest threats in the air for Miami will be Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill. All of this depends on if Tua comes back to play again. Tyreek and Jalen Waddle's production will heavily decrease if he doesn't, and so will Miami's chances of winning. Defense, who struggled and played poorly at times. This almost led to defensive coordinator Josh Boyer being fired, but they rebounded against the Flacco-led New York Jets. They gave up only 6 points, 187 total yards, and only 38 rushing yards. While the sacks weren't there, the pass defense was. Jalen Phillips and Jerome Baker each played well, but the secondary was the key to the team's success. They didn't give up a touchdown, and they also didn't give up many big plays, with cornerbacks Xavier Howard and Keon Croson played well, and safeties Javon Holland and Eric Rowe also doing well. This defense will have to lead the charge next week if the Fins are able to pull off the unthinkable and beat Buffalo in the playoffs. Let's keep things going by talking about the Bills' defense now, who struggled against Mac Jones and the Patriots. The Bills' secondary struggled with Devontae Parker and Kendrick Bourne each ripping them up at times in the first half. Tre'Davious White may have had a game-changing interception, but he continues to not look like himself since coming back from a year-long ACL injury. Khair Elam wasn't much better, and it was tough watching them leave guys wide open all day long. This defense's fortune changed when the Bills got a consistent pass rush, and the main guy for that is Greg Rousseau. He got his 8th sack of the season on Sunday, and he will need to be a big again this week. Linebacker Matt Milano played well. Tremaine Edmonds had a tough day, and quarterback Teron Johnson looked banged up as expected. Bills fans are hoping that the defense can finally look Super Bowl caliber, but that'll be difficult given the current state of their pass defense. So, with all of that out of the way, here is what our BSC panel is predicting for the super wildcard game between the Bills and the Fins, a throwback to a classic 90s match.
Exactly where the kicker wants it.
Give to Singletary again.
Oh!
Cut back, Singletary goes down.
Oh, this place is about to blow. He makes this.
Good snap. Good hole. Good kick.
Oh, yeah.
And the Bills slide into the